created to build a space, a community, to be able to provide an avenue for people with mental illness to be able to go to so that they can have a community of other individuals that are experiencing the same thing that they are.
Mental health have to be a priority. Our mental health matters. And it's of importance that we all know that it's okay not to be okay. That's one of our models. But it's so important that we could come as a community and just share and understanding, because I truly believe if we know better, we'll do better.
Hi everybody, my name is Danielle McKnight. Shortly after I myself attempted to take my own life, I suffered from alcohol use disorder, alcoholism. I had gone to rehab for 30 days, and when I came back to work, a colleague of mine was actually tattooing her and asked me about my digital design services, and I've actually created the artwork that you see on the car outside, and I've also tattooed Monique's portrait onto Amor as well. And I really feel like the universe brought us together at the perfect time, especially since it was right after I was struggling with my own mental health. And I am so proud and honored and grateful to be a part of this foundation. And hopefully through my testimony and my struggles, I can help people who are also struggling in their lives and let people know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, even though it might not seem like it at the time. When you're in a very, very dark place, it's really hard to see the other side of that. But when we have spaces and foundations like this one, and we surround ourselves with other people who are also going through life struggles, trauma, mental health, illness, and things of that nature, and you find a community and even a family in that, it gives you something to lean on and just hope for the future. So thank all of you for attending today and continuing to support this foundation, support Amor, and support this beautiful chosen family that we've built. And we're very excited for everything to come. So thank you guys so much for attending today.
My name is Dr. Michelle Moras. I'm a global keynote TEDx speaker, and I have about 28 books, 17 of them are on the bestseller list. Look for them. I'm also in a couple of sci-fi movies. There's a lot of things I do. I also have a TV show out of the Philippines called Mental Shift. Now, I met this lovely lady because she screamed at me at a pre-Oscar party. And she said, "You must be here, and this is why." I'll tell you my story. I've got a good 30 minutes to tell you my story. And I apologize if I get loud.
No.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how it used to be. The reason I chose that song is because when I was 6 years old, I remember Diana Ross singing it, and I would cry my eyes out. I cried my eyes out because I am one of 6 children. I am 6 years younger than the first girl. My oldest, let's go oldest. My oldest brother is 8 years older than me. 12 months later, my next brother, Troy, was born. Then 12 months later was my sister. I'm 6 years after all of them. And then there's 10 years after me, so we'll get to them later. My oldest brother is a musical savant. My next brother was an athlete among athletes. My sister was about 5'10", leggy and beautiful. Then came me. And I was always compared with my siblings. Why aren't you as musical as him? Why can't you do sports like him? Why aren't you beautiful like her? And I was, at the time, 7. And I'm thinking, but I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why. And my dad would say, will you just get up? Find your place in the world. Look at your siblings. And I'm 7. The 7-year-old in me decided to make the world a better place, I needed to go away. The first time I tried to kill myself, apparently I did not succeed. I was 7 and I tried to hang myself in the closet. And the only reason I'm alive Matter of fact, I just told my sister about it, and I'm 55 now, so she's 60 something. I just told her, you know that day you found me in the closet? You're always playing in the closet. Do you remember the day I had the rope on my neck? She says, oh, you didn't have a rope, you had a belt on your neck. I didn't know what the heck you were doing, but we went out and played Barbies anyways. That was the day she saved my life. She had no idea. So pay attention to the people around you at 7. Years go by, and I remember my father telling me, well, Michelle, you're hard-headed, you're short, you're fat, and you're ugly. If you are lucky enough to ever find a man to take care of you, you'll be lucky. So you either need to shut your mouth and learn to keep your tongue, because your smarts are not going to open the doors for you. The world opens for beautiful people, and young lady, you are not one. I was 11. And I remember thinking, my brothers are so good at everything. My sister's so beautiful. Why, God? Why? Why did you make me like this? Just why? Good thing I'm not very good at what I was trying to do. Because I took an entire bottle of pills. Now, you have to understand, my mother's a Filipino. Our remedies in our house, don't laugh, Michael, this is my husband. Vicks Faber Rub, it fixes everything. It does. Ginger fixes everything also. And then Bear aspirin. Because if you have aspirin, they grind it up and put it in your sore tooth, and that's it. Thank God I'm Filipino, okay? Because I took the only bottle of pills I could find. Bear aspirin. I took all of those things and I sat and I waited and I waited and nothing happened. And my sister said, what are you doing? What are you doing? I do nothing. And I'm thinking, am I going to drop dead now? Because I'm kind of hoping it happens. She says, let's go play Barbies. So I went and played Barbies and didn't drop dead. I'm like, what the heck? I'm looking at this Bear aspirin, I'm like, thank goodness, thank goodness. Because you see, I kept trying to kill myself and no one knew it. I'm a very happy little girl. If you see my pictures, you would never know my father was torturing me at home. You would never know that as a Filipino, I'm fat. Okay? I'm fat and I'm too dark. So I was getting attacked by people on the outside and getting attacked in my own home. And if you even talk to my family now, they go, when they call you fat, that's good. Fat is good. That means you're rich. Well, no one told me that when I was a kid. They just said, oh, you're so fat. And I would do, but I'm like a -2. What the heck? So I didn't understand, and I took on this information like it was fact. Years go by, and remember my father saying I was short, fat, and ugly? I believed him. And even though I was getting straight A's in school, even though I was getting accepted into Smith and MIT, my father would not let me go. Why? Because a man needs that chair. Don't you dare go to college and take a seat from a man who needs to feed his family. You're just going to be barefoot and pregnant anyways. So I got accepted to the academy. He wouldn't sign the papers. I got accepted to all these different amazing schools to be an engineer. He wouldn't let me go. I got depressed again. But this time something worse happened than me trying to commit suicide. In my mindset of not loving myself enough, I drew the attention of a boy who decided he would own me. That's a story you don't know. I was human trafficked my senior year of college. And so 1.5 years I was taken. And that is when I realized I really want to die now. I really, really want to go. And I would go to people when I had 4 different jobs because Dad wouldn't let me have any scholarships. So I had 4 jobs, working 4 jobs, going to school as an engineer because if I'm an engineer, maybe someone will love me. And then this boy took me. And I remember I called the police and said, I'm being hurt. And they said, yeah, right. It's a he shed, she shed thing, whatever. Don't worry about it. We don't care. Just don't bother us with your BS. Then I went to work, one of my jobs, and I said, help me. Last night, I think I was raped and I need help. And she said, what were you doing, partying all night? damn teenagers told you not to be. So I shut up. Then I went home to my mother and said, Mom, help me. I think I was raped last night. And she said, you'd be so damn lucky if a man loved you enough to rape you. I didn't know what to do. I went to my brother and I said, help me, I think I was raped. And he said, oh, so-and-so? I said, yeah. And he goes, about time you date somebody that's not so uppity. So I went to work that night and the guy that raped me was there. And I walked into the room and everyone starts clapping. I'm at a restaurant and they're all clapping. And I'm like, what are you clapping about? And they said, oh, we heard you're dating so-and-so. Can't say his name, just in case he's here. Yes, I'm still afraid of that. He pulls me up next to him and he says, you tell anybody and I'll slaughter them and make you watch. And I remember at that moment, I wanted to be dead. No one believed me. There's nothing for me, and the only man who loves me rapes me with a gun. Please kill me now. Now, I never managed to do any more suicide attempts during his time because he never let me go. And my thought process on that was, when you have someone holding a gun at you every time they touch you, I kept thinking, is today the day I'm gonna die? Is today the day I'm gonna die? Is today the day I'm going to die? And I realized in that moment, all those other times I thought life was horrible and I wanted to die, life was freaking grand! I should have loved every moment of my life, and I had wasted it, squandered it, trying to be for someone else. And here's this man, quote unquote man, who's willing to take my life at any moment for his own pleasure. And I realized everything I ever thought was bad in life has nothing in comparison to what's happening to me right now. Long story short, I did eventually get away. I am here. And but here's the mystic, amazing thing about it. One day, he let me go long enough that I was able to talk to somebody. And when he saw me talk to somebody, he got very angry. Are you okay? Okay. I have to make sure he's okay because he loves me too much. And I was crawling away and I said, dear God, how do I get away? And I heard, you're smarter than him. Now, this is what's so beautiful about this story. And I know you guys are all tragic right now. Please don't be. I'm alive. I'm here. I'm just so strong and so pig-headed. Something bad had to happen for me to realize how important life is. You're smarter than him. What was the thing my father told me was my biggest downfall? I'm smart. All my life I hated being smart because my dad didn't love me because I was smart. It's what saved me. It's what saved me. The thing that we think is our biggest detriment is actually our biggest gift. How many of you think about what you get in trouble for when you were a little kid? What did you get in trouble for? Did you talk too much? Were you friends with so-and-so? Were you always playing with whatever it is that you got in trouble for as a child? It's our freaking gift. It's what we do the best. I talk. And I'm kind of a know-it-all. It's what I learned so naturally. I beat myself all my life because of it. Now, let's get into the good times of years, right? So life sped up. This young man here, I met in high school, believe it or not. He knew me before I was broken. He met me I was 14, he had just turned 16. So let's speed through, okay? Yeah, I need to speed through. He's like, we get married 10 years from the day that we've met in high school. We've now been together for 40 years. Wow. I love that man. This man loved me through all my brokenness. Now let's speed through. We have 2 kids. We've traveled the world. He's military, so we're going around the world. And I've taken all the bad things in my head and compartmentalized it in the back of my head, and I just keep going. Keep going. Now here's why I'm mentioning that. When things happen in our lives that we avoid, I promise you, your brain has not forgotten it, and it is there. We are living the most beautiful life, traveling with our 2 kids. We retire in Colorado. I'm writing speeches for politicians. How am I doing on time? Because I'm like crying. Okay. Living the time of our lives. I'm writing speeches for politicians, and one day, I was driving along, minding my business, when out of the orange-colored sky, flash, bam, alakazam, a little girl ran a stop sign. That wall I built in my brain, it came crumbling down. And so all those things that I had been buried and put back in the back of my brain came back full force. And this is why I look at him and smile. Because this man loved me through my chaos. So you have to think, a little girl who went through all that trauma and was never allowed to cry. I was never allowed to cry. And then to be taken as a human traffic and never allowed to cry. No matter what beating, no matter what happened, if I cried, it made it worse, so I couldn't say anything. And when I got hit by the car, all of that came out. And all the anger that I never allowed out came out. And this man loved me through it. He loved me through all my pain that I never allowed myself to have. So my son actually asked me, Mom, you really need to go get help. You need to go talk to somebody. And I said, no, we don't need to talk about anything, because if I don't talk about it, it will never come up, and it will just go away. It'll just go back into my brain, and it'll go away. And then we found out that I stopped sleeping. I never hit REM sleep. I never slept again after my brain injury. What happens to people who don't sleep? Yeah, not good, not good. And so they ended up finding me a therapist to talk to. Poor therapist. She thought she was helping somebody with a car injury. Yeah, she ended up talking about everything else. So ended up going to something called neurofeedback, because my brain, it was the only way it would allow me to talk about anything, because I buried it so well. Now with the walls coming down, I'm a big advocate to speaking and talking to therapists and finding out what's wrong with you, because it will hunt you down. Remember, my first trauma started when I was 5 and 6 years old. I am 55, and I am now processing, get this one, the rapes. I've never processed them. Now, if you come near me and you're talking to me later, you'll find out, you'll see on my ear, there's this rash that's coming up the side of my head. It's not medical. It's psychological. The little girl that I locked in my head after she was raped still thinks she's here. She thinks I'm a dream. Oh, I gotta tell you that part. Can I tell you all that? This is kind of inside information, okay? I went to my therapist, and what we found out is the 19-year-old in me thinks the day that I got away from my rapist, we died. That's how we got away. So she thinks I'm a dream and that we're really dead. And she's weeping out of my ears because she wants someone to hear her. It's pretty deep, huh? Yeah, it's pretty deep. So what my thing is when I was going through this brain injury and everything fell out, all my walls fell down, I found out I had breast cancer. And then with my breast cancer, people are like, oh my God, you have breast cancer, my God. And I'm thinking, well, at least now I know it's gonna kill me. All the other stuff didn't work. Remember, I kept trying to kill myself. That didn't work. I got human trafficked for over 1.5 years. He didn't manage to kill me either. And then when the cancer came, I thought, well, maybe this will be it. And so I became very brave in the way I lived. And I promise you, waiting for a death sentence to live is the dumbest way to live. And I'm so proud of all of you to come here and support this mission, because this happy lady is struggling. All those smiles you see on the street, all we need sometimes is someone to smile back. If I had one person during my senior year of college who just said, "Hey, Michelle, how you doing?" I would have told them the truth. I would have said, "Help me, get me to a hospital, someone's bad." No one ever asked me. So I never said anything. One smile will save a life. Yes, I had breast cancer. They still call me with breast cancer, but I don't call it because I got new boobs. And what you don't know about me is through all of that trauma and everything that's happened, and when I got my brain injury was more than a brain injury. It was a traumatic brain injury. I lost 4 parts of my brain. So I'm missing my frontal lobe over my left ear, the back of my head, and my 2 hemispheres disconnected. I was a vegetable for over 2 years, a year and a half, and then I came up for a little air, spoke for a little bit, and then went back down when I did my TEDx. I'm looking at him because part of my brain injury is I have no sense of time. I have a 16-second memory, to be the truth, actually. And so as long as it's moved into my long-term, I can remember it. But if it's short-term, so if I look at you and I smile and I turn around, I look back at you and smile again, it's because I forgot I met you. But that's the whole thing, is during my brain injury time, that two and a half years total, that he carried me downstairs and fed me and put alarms on my phone and made sure I drank water, made sure I went to the restroom, made sure all these things. He became my brain. Then he programmed it onto my phone. I gained 200 and something pounds. If you look for me on my website, michellemoras.com, there's a TED Talk there. I'm 389 pounds. 389 pounds. Now this is where I'm trying to get to. It's taken me forever to get to it. People see a physical change in me. Yeah, there's a physical change. But there would be no physical change if there wasn't a mental change. Now, people see the physical change, and what I tell them is stop looking at the physical. That's the easy part. The part that grew, the part that I'm most proud of, is the brain I kept trying to get rid of because my father didn't love me because of it. You see, knowledge is power. What is that song? Conjunction Junction? No. It's one of those Conjunction Junction, what's your function songs, right? But now it is a perfect picture. Nope, that's not either. Well, anyways, knowledge is power. Mental clarity is power. To understand yourself truly to your core is power. I became a global speaker not because, well, that lady lost 245 pounds. That's not why I'm here. That's not why I started speaking. That's not why I have 28 books. I don't even talk about the weight loss. It's about the mental clarity of who you are. I talk about being the best version of you unapologetically. Why? Because I apologized for my entire life until I was on my deathbed and someone said, "Michelle, you died." What? That's what they told me when I woke up from my first breast cancer surgery. When they cut my breast off, they told me I died on the table. And I said, "What? Why? What are you talking about?" He goes, "You're over 300 pounds. It took horse tranquilizers to knock you out. We couldn't wake you back up. You better drop 80 pounds before we have to take you under the knife again." I'm like, well, that's incentive, isn't it? Mental clarity. I learned to love myself at my size where I was. And every morning, instead of doing, look at this, look at this. I used to beat myself up in the mirror all the time. But, oh, look at this. Why does he love me? He should leave me. I gave him a list of all the women he should go marry and told him to leave me. Did I not? And I told him to leave me because I'm not good enough. Look at this body. Look at this woman. Look at this. And so I learned that I looked in the mirror every day and wrote down something about me I loved. Boy, that's a great attitude. I have a vis-a-vis. What's a vis-a-vis? Dry erase marker? So on my big old mirror in my bathroom, I wrote, great eyes, smile. I mean, every day I found something new that I would write down that I liked about me. And every day I would look in that mirror and do, yep. And what's funny about that is as I loved myself more and more, I started dropping pounds. I wasn't even dieting. I wasn't even trying. But loving me made me drop freaking weight. Why don't they ever talk about that on the news? They never talk about loving yourself more will cause weight loss. They don't talk about it, but loving yourself more does cause weight loss. Because you start caring. You see, it wasn't just a magic pill of I just love myself. It was, I love myself enough that I'm going to go walk. I love myself enough that, you know, that French fry, as much as I really want it, my body doesn't like it. And I drop it. And so the weirdest thing about mental clarity is that your body is a perfectly working machine that knows how to fix itself. If you let it. If you give it the food it needs. If you take care of your teeth. Look at these teeth. I'm telling you, you'll hear her from her later. And that whole you saved my life. That entire science is amazing. So neuroplasticity, I think is what they called it. Now, I am missing 3 parts of my brain. But your brain is so phenomenal, it's rewired itself. Why? You feed it right, you give it enough water, you take care of yourself, and your body will heal itself. How many of you have ever broken a bone?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you go to the doctor and they gave you a magic pill that made your bones come back together again? They put a cast on it so you stop touching it. And then your body fixes itself. What I've learned is that I didn't appreciate life until it was gone. And my thing is, when I died on that table the first time, I don't remember it. When I died on the table the second time, I remember it. I remember what I saw. I remember who I met. I remember. Yes, I have a near-death experience. And as much and as beautiful as it is on the other side, I wasn't allowed to stay. Because I'm like, yes! This is awesome! I'm gonna stay, I'm gonna go! And I felt, nope! And I fell back into my body and I woke up and went, crap. So although the other side seems very beautiful, I know that each of us has a mission on this life. We all have something we're supposed to do. And for those of us where we've lost people due to suicide, as painful as that may be, that they've given up on their mission, it amplifies our mission. No life is lost just to lose it. No lesson is learned just to learn it. It is meant to be shared so we can all grow from the experiences. I'm living proof that not everybody's good at killing themselves. But thank God, because what I do now, I would have never imagined that young girl would have never imagined this to be able to be. How am I doing on time, dear? 2 minutes? Thank you. He's my brain. But the thing is I never understood how important we are in life until it was going away. It took me to 55 to learn who I am. So no matter what you're going through, if you know anyone who's going through anything, realize you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yes.
And I have a quote that I wrote during my brain injury, and I found it. Let's see if I can remember it. Change is an emotional journey. It's not rainbows and butterflies in a field of daisies. Change hurts. But it makes you who you are. And the beauties and the possibilities. I wrote that and actually remembered it. So anyways, I started with that Diana Ross song. What was it? I Believe the Children Are the Future. That song is so absolutely gorgeous because the greatest love of all is easy It is the greatest love of all.
Next, I would like to introduce Dr. Sara. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I do. I'm a dentist, and I guess the reason why I'm here talking to you about dentistry is because we're trying to connect what dentistry has to do with mental health. I met Amor at the gala the chamber had put together, and Cheryl introduced us, and then later on I was asked to speak about it because the way I do dentistry is that I zoom out, I go back, I look at people as a whole, and when I bring you to my office is set up as a lounge. So we're not a typical dental office. The main reason why we came up with the idea to go through dentistry this way is because I had heard too many times that I hate going to the dentist, I hate going to the dentist, I hate the dentist. And so I love my profession, or it's my second profession. I used to be an engineer, a fashion designer, a bunch of stuff, and then I decided I wanted to do dentistry. So I love my profession, and I wanted people to understand what I loved about my profession, and I wanted them to be comfortable coming to the dentist and talking about it and getting healthy in this area, as well as everything else. So I started to think about how I could get people to come in and enjoy it. So our office is set up where you come in, we have a lounge area, we give you robes and slippers. And the first thing you do is you get on a sound lounge, sound bed. I don't know how many people are familiar with it. You get on a sound bed, we give you headphones, and we put on Zen music, and it's induced meditation. So this bed was created for kids with special needs mainly, I don't know, you might know, and kids with autism, people who have anxiety, people who have trouble sleeping. So we brought it into the office to help people relax. That's the whole idea of it. My office is called Comfy Dental Studio. So when you get in, you're supposed to get comfortable. It's comfy. And then we go through dentistry with the latest technology, anything that doesn't make the sound people don't like, anything that doesn't hurt. We do laser fillings, so we don't have to numb you. I do dental acupuncture. I'm licensed in dental acupuncture. I do photobiomodulation. I do a lot of stuff. But the main reason why we do it is because I fell in love with the idea of lifestyle medicine. I came across it and I fell in love with it. And the way it approaches people is that it looks at a person as a social being, a mental being, and a physical being. So we look at your sleep patterns. We look at your mental wellness. How connected you are. Are you being social? Do you have a community, basically? Do you resort to risky substances? Do you get enough sleep? So I brought all of that into my practice, and we sit down with patients, we talk to them. We're very sensitive about it. We attempt to treat some of your sleep disorders with dental acupuncture and laser. We have the ability to treat palatal snoring. So we talk about all of those things, and to me, when you are well mentally and physically and socially, you elevate your society, right? You elevate yourself, you elevate people around you, and I wanted to be part of that. And I see that trend, thankfully, in our healthcare community. We were just at a little panel here, and everybody was talking about it, how having that community of practitioners and providers and how they can talk to each other. So I went out and created my own little circle of therapists that I work with, and I send my patients to, so we talk about it. we look at the root cause of their mental issues. If it's anxiety, if it's sleep, if it's pain. Some of them we can treat in our office, some of them we can't. So we have to refer patients out, we send them out, we make sure we do follow-ups, we have a bunch of stuff. We do fun things too. We're planning some charity events to help different mental wellness foundations. So yeah, that's my contribution, hopefully to my society, and hopefully everybody else takes that route in dentistry and healthcare and thinks about it that way, and not just as a patient who comes in and you look at them, you talk to them, you bill them and things like that. So that's not how we do dentistry.
So I'm Dr. J. Faber. So friends call me Dr. J. If you want to call me Dr. J, that's fine. I'm a neuropsychiatrist, which is sort of a big fancy word, which basically means that I've learned a lot about neuroimaging, brain imaging, and how to look at the brain where there's too much and too little blood flow, and then kind of figure out how to help people get better. So a lot of people who see me, they've been through the ringer, and ringer means they've seen a lot of different people and they're just not getting better, and so they end up coming to our office, and we try to start to put some of the pieces together. So there's sort of the professional introduction there, but I think more it's just, I was thinking about, what Michelle was saying. It's just, it's powerful, and you think of resilience and the sense of fortitude and strength. I mean, you embody that, and the creativity with your dentist office is just, it's fantastic. And I really think it's important for the professionals, and I'm speaking to myself, is that we live what we say, right? I mean, it's one thing to just, talk about it, and I can tell you all sorts of things about our clinic, and it's interesting. We have, like anyone else, we've got some really great comedies, great stories, but we've got tragedies too. I mean, the people who sadly don't listen to us, we see some unfortunate things that happen. But I'm not going to say much, but I just want to tell one story that I thought of that happened just down the road here on Santa Monica Boulevard, 2020. Charmaine knows the story. And COVID hit, and a couple of my friends called me up and they said, hey, and I grew up in the Midwest, so church and Christianity, all that was really important. And so you got to go see this new pastor. He's really good. Listen to his sermon. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. I said, well, thank you for calling. I'll think about it, And I thought, well, I could go and listen to this really nice sermon and learn a few verses, blah, blah, blah. But the day before, I was driving down Santa Monica Boulevard, close to the Westfield Mall, and there were all these homeless people in tents. And I'm like, wow, I've never seen this here in my whole life. What is going on with COVID? And so I drove past later that day, and there was all this garbage and junk starting to pile up there. And so I went home that night. I said, Sunday morning, I went to Starbucks, got my cup of iced tea. I said, what do I want to do today? I said, do I want to, listen to a couple verses, know against verses, and hear a couple preachers? Or, maybe I should go down to that corner on Santa Monica Boulevard and see what's up, and give them some plastic bags. And it was Mother's Day. I'll give some donuts to the people and see what's going on. So I went down there in my my work car. And I'm like, what am I getting myself into? Like I'm a doctor, and everyone sees me in this sort of professional way. And I went there, and I'm like, I put on sort of my Midwest golly gees first. And I said, oh, hi, it's I'm Jay. It's nice to meet you. I live up the street here. Welcome to our neighborhood. I said, by the way, who owns up the tent here? And this tent, it's like, there's all these like brass nuts. Someone had ripped them off, or copper nuts, And there's all this garbage. And this lady comes over and she says, well, this is my tent. I go, I'm Jay. I said, happy Mother's Day. Here's some donuts. I go, I just thought I'd say hi and bring down some plastic bags, just in case you guys want to clean up. I don't want the police to come down here and stuff like that. And then as soon as I said that, I got an epitaph of you mother effing this and you SOB that. Who do you think you are? My boyfriend left here today. He took all my cash. He took all my money. I have mother, you know what, nothing. You MOF, who do you think you are? I'm broke. I'm sick of this. And I'm listening, go, what? What am I going to say now? Right? And what have I got myself into? And this is just where you got to lead by your heart. There ain't no brain in this one. And so she got done screaming. And I did this. And I went back, I opened this up, and I didn't have a microphone, so it wasn't quite like this. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I took out like 2 20s. I said, here, take this. It's Mother's Day. And she took the money, and I was ready to hear some more F-bombs, you SOB that, and the whole thing. And then all of a sudden, here come the tears. And she is crying. I'm telling you, I'm biting my lip. I go, I gotta be strong here. I go, I can't let my own emotions, my tears, but this is real pain. I mean, this is the real deal that people are going through. And so she was crying, and I let her cry. And then she said, I need this money. And here's my first thought. It's like, okay, my goal was to learn how she talks and learn her lingo. And not my professional, welcome to my office, let's talk about the, basal ganglia, the amygdala today. And so she took the cash. I said, let me tell you something right now. And I said, this is your mother effing money. You keep this money. And if that mother DI, boyfriend comes back, you don't have shh. You know what I'm talking about? You hide that money. You don't put it anywhere, but you keep it. I don't care where it is. And she said, you know what I mean? And she goes, and then she's, the tears are crying up. I said, well, listen. I said, I'll probably come back. I'll drive by and say hi later on today and just see how you're doing. So I drove past like 4 hours later. I said, I don't want to stop it. I'll just be more of a nuisance. But I looked, and the 6 plastic bags I'd given, guess what? They were all filled with garbage and lined up to be picked up. And I'm like, did I learn a lesson today? And here's the lesson. And I'm just going to leave it with this, because this is what I really do in the office all day. You're going to meet people where they're at. And when you love and you care and get down or get up to whatever level and language they speak, that's where the power is. I know neuropsychiatry, and I know a lot about medicine, and I've got other degrees which people don't even have, and we've got people much smarter than me here. But I'm just going to leave with this, is mental health, it's everywhere. It's here, it's out there, and it's right on the street of Santa Monica Boulevard. And I'm just going to encourage and say, hey, let's all work together and get to know each other and help this wonderful foundation do what it's trying to do. And I thank you for listening to my story, and God bless you all, and have a good day. Thank you.
You guys are more than welcome to come up, grab a question, and you can take a seat again, ask the question from your seat, and then our panelists will go ahead and answer the questions for you guys. And hopefully that way we can get all of your guys' important questions asked and answered.
Dr. Sara, I know you had talked about the importance of bacteria in the mouth and what that might do to the brain, physically and emotionally as well. Could you get into that a little bit? Because I thought that was really so interesting.
So yeah, there have been a lot of studies that were out, and it talks about the relationship or the correlation between the bacteria and the gums. We know that there's blood vessels everywhere in the mouth and the oral cavity, and it can travel to the brain. And they have found a correlation between the bacteria that causes gingivitis and periodontitis and dementia and Alzheimer's. So that's why it's really important to get your teeth cleaned and make sure that you're on top of it and you visit the dentist, and home care is everything. It contributes to longevity and brain health.
What are some practical ways to practice self-compassion?
Okay, yeah, the good question. There's a process that I would encourage is spend 30 to 60 minutes a day. It seems like a lot, but once you start doing it, you get very hooked into it. and then find material that teaches about self-love. Really good book just came out just out of the top of my head called Worthy, and some of you may have heard of it by Jamie Kern Lima. Jamie is she sold a fashion company. She grew up, she was in a foster home, got in trouble with the law during her teens, was a stripper, and went from that to developing her own company, fashion company. And
It's cosmetics.
or cosmetics, and sold it for like billions. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. But how she worked through her self-worth it's just really powerful. And so books like that can be a great way to start to develop a sense of self-compassion. There's 8 things I could tell more about. We can see other questions we get.
Right. How can dental professionals address dental anxiety in pediatric patients to prevent long-term mental health effects?
Oh, good question. So, I'm not a pediatric dentist, but I know that I do get a lot of patients that come in and they do say that they're traumatized as a kid. So that's why they don't like to go to the dentist. It does become very important. I do see kids as well, and what can be done is there are a lot of processes. One of them that's been taught is to do tell, show, do. So you tell the patient or tell the child what you're gonna do, you're gonna show them what you're gonna do, and then you're gonna do it with them. So you're gonna let them participate in their care. There have been a lot of places that I've gone and they still do it. They papoose the kid. So they tie you down and they do whatever they want to do. And I refuse to work at those places and I never would do it. I don't recommend taking your children to those places because I feel like it's very traumatizing. Nobody wants to be held down to do anything. So make sure that if you go to a dentist and if a dentist is providing care for your child, they actually do care about the child. They care about their mental wellness. They help the child participate. There's also different modalities that we can use. For example, we have it at our office too, the laser. The laser is great because you don't have to numb the child. You can do fillings without numbing them so they don't see the needle, they're not scared of the needle. And then they need to see your face, you need to talk to them, you need to walk them through it, they need to smile at them. It's easy because I have children and it's easy for me to connect with children. So I feel like either go to a dentist for your children that are pediatric dentists, so they're trained specifically to do that, or have kids, or feel like a child so they can actually connect with the child. So that's really important. And to make sure that they're not hurting. Because kids will hurt, some of them will be vocal, some of them won't. And if they're not being vocal and you don't know, they're just keeping it in, it's really bad. It's traumatizing. You don't want that.
The question says, what advice do you have for individuals facing similar challenges in their lives? And I want to ask you particularly about, I know this is a sensitive subject, but as a survivor of rape and sexual assault myself, a lot of women are not taught or aware of how to deal with the trauma of sexual assault, especially because, as you had said in your recounting of what happened to you, everyone around you just pushed off what had happened to you, didn't take it seriously. Oh, you should be grateful that a man's paying you attention. Oh, you finally found somebody. And a lot of women experience that day to day in our sexual assaults not being taken seriously. A lot of the time we're victim blamed. It's our fault. Well, what were you doing? Were you drinking? What were you wearing? All of that. So for you, I know that you said that you had barely just kind of started coming to terms with what happened to you. How have you been able to unpack that and deal with that in your adult life?
Hello, I'm Dr. Michelle Maras, and I talk about all my trauma. That's it. I share my story. Because what happened is I realized that I've met women in the corporate world. I speak for a living. That's what I do. And I've met people I'm not just women, men also, in the corporate world where I'll go on stage and talk about whatever, and they'll do, yeah, this happened to me. And I do, still? They do, yeah, it's happening right now. But it's my husband. Or it's my wife. And We are living in a society where people would rather suffer than speak up. So I share my story, and I encourage people to share their story, and I encourage people to go out and talk to a therapist, do something to get the story out. Because when we're inside of that, with me it was the human trafficking, when I was inside of that, there was a part of me that went, this is where you belong. This is where you're supposed to be. Shut up. And when I realized that's not where I belong, and I shouldn't shut up, I realized when I'm talking to all these people in conferences, so many people learn that same mechanism. Shut up, suffer. You're a wife. You're supposed to love her till she dies, whatever. Just shut up. Now, I think the weirdest one is when I've met women who do, well, your husband doesn't grab you by the hair and pull you down the hallway? I do. No! Well, I really don't want him to come back from, we're in the military world. I really don't want him to come back from deployment because, whoa! Okay, you are hiding from a pain that you must address. So the advice I would give is, if you don't want to be the bad guy, because none of us want to be the bad guy, because we're all programmed that if we speak out, we're the bad guy. Remember, I was told, shut up. It's your fault. You're just a girl. That kind of thing. Is find a therapist that you can just talk to. And when the therapist tells you, that's not normal, it gives you permission to realize that what you're accepting as fact should not. And that's why I say share your story. Because the old me, I shut up. I stayed quiet for many, many years. And I know many, 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 many married couples who accept it as fact, and they're in abusive situations. I think the worst one I've just heard not too long ago, he's a friend of mine. I thought he was a great guy, he's a wonderful guy. And he used to call and he would say, hey, Michelle, you coming down into town? I live out in the middle of nowhere in Colorado. Are you coming to town? I'd love to have coffee with you. And you would think with all the experiences that I've had in my life that I would notice something like that. And I would say, well, I'll come this week, but next week will probably be better. And I said that to him, and he used to call me all the time. And this one time I told him, I really can't, I won't be back in town for a month. And he says, oh, I really, really wish we could talk. And I said, well, you can call me anytime. And he says, no, I really, really, really wish we could talk. He killed himself that weekend. And he killed himself because no one believed him. He was saying, my wife is abusing me. My wife is taking my kids. My wife. And none of us really understood what he was saying because he would say things subtly. Yeah, my wife is taking the kids out of town this week, and I thought I took this weekend off that I would be with them. He would say things that subtle. He committed suicide because his wife was taking his children whenever he wanted to be around them. So speak up. Listen to those subtle undertones of what people say. Because one of my biggest regrets right now is that I didn't hear him in the way he needed me to hear him. I'm not saying that we all are psychic and would understand this, okay? Just always ask an extra question. I always get in trouble with Michael because I never ask enough factual questions to do. Oh, you're having a good day? Good. Ask one more question. And I've learned that slowly, but yeah, ask more questions and say more. Women have a bad tendency of just sharing it when we're all out having drinks. Oh yeah, my boyfriend did this and yeah, it's just really weird. That's not the time to do it. Have a quiet, real conversation and let someone else know so that you can get out of your head knowing I'm not crazy. This doesn't feel right. That's really it.
Thank you very much. And I want to piggyback off of that because a lot of people don't talk about their pain, not just with sexual assault or trauma or anything like that, but a lot of us don't want to be a burden on other people. And we need to realize that our families, our friends, and our community are there to help us. Even if you might not feel like those people in your immediate circle are people that you can lean on or are there to help you, seek out therapy. Seek out a foundation like the Monique Woolley Foundation. Seek out some avenue where you will feel heard and be seen, because that is the most important thing when you are going through something, is to feel like you matter and to feel like you're being listened to and to feel like you are seen. Because even when we talk to people in our immediate circle, they might come from a place of bias, or, oh, you seem happy, you seem fine, you're all party girl or up, whatever. Nobody knew I was suffering because I was the party girl. I was always out and about, and I joke a lot, and I hide things with my humor, and I was really suffering. And sometimes people who don't see you on a regular basis can see that. They can tell when you're, hey, you kind of seem because even though they might not mean to, people in your lives will tell themselves that you're fine, because they're like, oh, I don't want to take on that. Oh shit, yeah, she needs to talk again. Oh shit, you know what I mean? I don't have time. And we don't put blame on those people, because everybody does have their own thing going on. But sometimes it does help to seek help and advice and community outside of those who are immediately around us. But talking about it does help, even though it might be hard to get your voice and to elevate your voice enough to speak out about things, whether it's for fear of retribution, for fear of retaliation, depending on what you're going through, for fear of being a burden. You are never a burden. And I think that a lot of us need to learn to lay that down in thinking that we're a burden, because nobody in this room and nobody outside of this room is a burden to people who actually care about you. So
That's the key right there. Self-elimination. If you go to someone and they blow you off, self-elimination.
Yeah. That person doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
I just like to say that is the heart of the Monique Woolley Foundation. We are here to listen. You learn so much from just listening from a person. People want to be recognized. People want to be heard. And I just love the relationship that we have with the Monique Woolley Foundation. And I'm opening to invite everyone who has a story to tell, because everyone have a story, and every story deserves to be heard. I think it's just the most beautiful thing to share. And when I say that, is your pain and what you've gone through is not for you. It's for that someone else. Because that someone else need to hear that you're here now, you're prospering, you're doing things, you're an entrepreneur, you're doing what? What you say, okay? They need to understand and know that, yes, if, and I'm a woman of God. I love the Lord, okay? So I'm going to refer to my Father as the Lord, okay? If he puts it in your heart to do, then it's there for you. And you, the woman for the job. You're the only one who can have this done. You are here for a purpose, okay? We are all under the umbrella of suicide, but suicide has a different language. I speak 6 different languages, but I don't speak suicide. I couldn't tell you left from right. But my ambassadors, and I call them ambassadors, and what does that mean? That means that they have, unlike Danielle, who have come, and she's been with us for 3 years now. She came in, she shared her story, and in doing so, believe it or not, it's a release. You know what I mean? You just feel like, who's a load off your shoulders. But then that's where that comes in as well. Then she becomes that person, that language to speak to someone who's contemplating. Because, sometimes we suffer in silence because we don't want to hear it, because we don't want anyone to pass judgment. But guess what? It's okay not to be okay. And I'll say it again. It's okay not to be okay. We are here today, collaborating. I have so many people here to thank. I have the Champagne Wall here, this beautiful lady here who's just, I met her and she just said, I want to do something. I want to collaborate with the Monique Woolley Foundation because I believe in your mission and your vision, and that's why she's here. I have these beautiful people here, being Dynasty. I'm pointing at you. Yes, you are. Okay, and wanted to be part of this, to bring it out and to share. And it's of importance that we all come together and to do these things. You know what I'm saying? And part of what we do is education.
This is for Dr. Sara, I'm assuming. It's Dr. Sara's bowl.
Uh-huh.
Can you discuss the impact of cultural and social factors on dental-related mental health experiences? Can you discuss the impact of cultural and social factors on dental-related mental health experiences?
So I'm trying to think of the cultural. I'll talk about the mental first, because that comes to mind. So, or the social. So when I decided to do what I'm doing, like I said, I was basing it off of the concepts of lifestyle medicine, which looks at people as a whole, and part of that is being a social being. You're not okay if you're isolated. So isolation is one of the big factors that contributes to mental illness. And so we wanted to bring that, and we wanted to bring people in. And my office is also a social club. So you can come in, you can come to our wellness events, our social events, and you can connect with other people who also have maybe fear of the dentist, or maybe they have some other issues, and you can make a community basically. So when you have community, when you're well all over, it contributes to your whole well-being, physical well-being. What I mean by that is that we know that, for example, lack of sleep and anxiety contributes to heart disease. We know that everything is connected. We know that you can have high blood pressure if you don't sleep well, if you're anxious, if you're not, if you have depression, if you have any other kind of mental illness. So they also contribute to diabetes. Diabetes is related to your oral health, and your gum disease has a correlation with diabetes. So they're all connected. So that's the mental contribution of it, the aspect of it. That's the effect of it. Cultural, I don't know, I feel like cultures, I'm not that familiar with any culture that wouldn't want a healthy mouth, but I can say it's mostly social, and it's mostly what people are used to thinking. If we want to talk cultural, it's the culture of being afraid to go to the dentist, or the way people see the dentist as just a dental office to go get your mouth clean and come out, or just go get a filling and come out and leave. I don't practice dentistry that way, and I hope that other practitioners are going to do it the same way. They're going to do it as a whole. They're going to look at you as a person and say, okay, I see that you have this issue in your mouth, that you have this issue in your body, and you have this issue in your mental well-being. So, and then they could address it differently. They could collaborate with other professionals, and whatever tools we have to help, we would help. And then if we don't have it, we'll get those tools for you. So we would create a community that could help.
What role does spirituality play in mental health?
Well, here's the scoop. Just statistics first.
Yeah.
80% of people have some kind of faith. 80%. So just 4 out of 5 people, it's huge. Now, second is, how do you define spirituality? Is a big one. And if you look at sort of the whole picture, the way professionally, this is now professional, not street talk, is know people's purpose. Try to figure out what gets them going, what gets them excited, what gets them to live beyond themselves. Third, and this I think is the most important, and it's not talked about much now, but I think you're going to hear a whole lot more from the spiritual side of things. So we're learning more about attachment roles in life. And there's sort of like there's the secure attachments, and then there's the insecure attachments. 50% of people have secure attachments, which is a nice way of saying as adults, we're adding value to each other. Anxious attachments are trying to always please people, and the avoidance say it's always somebody else's problem. Now it sounds simple, but if you look at the way many of us have been taught about how to have a relationship with our Creator, however it is, it hasn't been a secure attachment. And knowing that difference and how they help people, especially with mental health issues, know that difference to find their spirituality. And people, if they're going to have a Creator, let's have a secure attachment with our Creator. The book Attached by Levine is a great book to understand it more. If you read it, I guarantee if you're from the West Side or just Southern California, you'll start thinking of couples. and who've got attached styles that are either avoidant or anxious or together. But that's where I go with spirituality piece of it. Yeah, you've read it, so you know, yeah.
How do you see the relationship between mental health and overall well-being in your clients and audience members?
It's huge. As I said before, people see that physical change, but it's the mental change that shifts us all. When you find your purpose, when you know what you want in life, and if you don't, just start to have a general walk towards it. But to have a purpose in life, and that's where I want to come back to your question with spirituality. The times when I was willing to give up my life, I did not believe there was a God. I did not believe there was anything beyond if I took my life. And so if I took my life, what's the mess? And it wasn't until I realized that there was something else beyond me. There was something else beyond this life that I might have to be accountable for something. It kind of made me double think what I wanted to do. And one of the things I didn't share you in my story is when I had that brain injury and I didn't move for over 2 years, I thought it was only 30 days. And I was suicidal again. That was my 4th time. And I was sitting on the couch and I remember saying, he had put me on the couch and they had pills in front of me. And I remember getting pissed off at whatever is above us controlling everything. And I screamed in my head, why do you hate me so much? Kill me already! Because I couldn't do anything but move my eyes for over 2 years. Just my eyes. So my husband is like playing charades with me, trying to figure out what I want, and all I want is water, and I couldn't say it. And it wasn't until that day I wanted someone to kill me. I had planned out this amazing suicide attempt, but the biggest joke was I couldn't move to do it. And that's when I started screaming, kill me already. And I heard, you're not dead yet, get up! And that's when I realized there's something bigger out there that I did not understand. And that's when I became very spiritual, because when something that big talks to you, you better believe it. And I did. So mentally is far more important to understand who you are in the world and to realize that you are not alone, even when you feel in the darkest and you are alone. I lost, with my brain injury, I lost pretty much all my friends. They all didn't believe me. When I was being raped every frickin' day, I lost a lot of people because they didn't believe me when I said, help me. When I got breast cancer, people ran because they thought I was contagious with breast cancer. They left too. And what I realized was, if I'm not mentally stable with who I am and where I am in the world, I lose everything. So mentally is far more important than anything else to be safe and secure with yourself. And Amor, can I do something? Because I really don't want to carry these back in my luggage.
Yes, by all means, do.
I'm going to give you a gift for asking me a question. Do you want a book or do you want a music CD? So one of them is called Unapologetic. That's the lion. An artist met me and she drew me as a lioness with a crown. Unapologetic, it's the entrepreneur's journey from pain to pride. It's basically every lesson I ever learned in my life where I thought bad things were happening, my pros and cons of everything I've ever done. And then Pearls of Wisdoms are just all the quotes I used for the past year on social media that helped me get through bad days. And then the CD is what I found, like you were saying with music. I went through a lot of pain. And the only way I could get through my pain was through song. So I recorded 3 songs, and they're all different parts of my journey. Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell, Summertime from Porgy and Bess, and Don't Get Around Much Anymore, Natalie Cole. So which one would you like?
Well, we said before, music goes deep. Music touches you in a way that, science hasn't quite figured out yet. So yes. I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna buy the books.
All right, wow.
Thank you.
Can you explain the psychological effects of dental appearance on self-esteem and mental well-being?
Yes, of course. So we get a lot of patients that come in and they want to have a beautiful smile. They believe it affects their, they don't believe it does. It affects their self-esteem. It affects how the society sees them. A lot of them, after they do get makeover, they find great jobs. So a lot of people come and say, I'm missing a tooth, I can't find a job, and then give me a tooth so I can find a job. So I feel like we're very visual, people are visual, and so they want to be perceived as someone that's well put together. Doesn't necessarily have to be a particular kind of beauty, it has to be the beauty that they want to see in themselves. So it does affect people's self-esteem, how they look, and how the health of their mouth, really. It does show what you're putting in your body, how you're treating yourself, it shows everything. How you're taking care of yourself, so that's the effect of it, basically.
Wonderful. Well, I can't begin to tell you how appreciative I am of each and every single one of you. This ends the first part of our journey because I truly believe it doesn't take just one, it takes a village. And coming together, I think each and every single one of us need to be recognized of what we do and where we at today. I thank the Shakey's Mexican Food here in Beverly Hills that thought so highly of the organization and wanted to give back. I love that. And Charmaine Blake, who's our PR, who's saw fit to just invite some people to be here and to support our mission.
I wanted to thank Amor, first of all, for establishing this amazing foundation, taking something that was tragic and turning it around to help so many other people. Without your generosity, your compassion, the feeling that you have for so many others, you wouldn't have been able to save these people emotionally, physically, and in so many ways. And your networking and your guidance and your love have made this a tremendous success. So thank you for everything that you do.
You know, I want to say I'll accept that, but I'm just a vessel. I'm just a vessel. I work for this man upstairs, and I promised him that I would be that vessel, and I am that woman for the job. Good, bad, and the ugly, I'll take it. And that's why I open up to anyone who knows, anyone who wants to and can support this organization, you know, because we're doing big things, you know what I mean? I have so many dreams that we can take this to a different level. The stigma has to stop. It has to stop. We have so many people out there who are hurting. They're hurting in silence. Some of us, they look good. They look grand and they like, ooh. And people like, oh, are you okay? Well, no, they're not. Okay? Inside, when they go home, they're not okay. Okay? So let's get down to the root of the problem. It's an illness. Let's get to know it, and all the people that we elect, you know, let's get to talking to them. Let them know, and let's all be the voice of the voiceless. Okay, my daughter, and this is Monique. Okay, she was here, but she's no longer here. And people look at her. She was a makeup artist. She was brighten up the day, you know, brighten up the room, you know. And people who saw her will think, well, she didn't have any problem. But what does mental health look like? Huh? Is it because of what we see out in the street? At that point, it's crisis. We can't help. Okay, so let's get together and prevent it from happening. You know what I mean? We are under the same umbrella, suicide, but everyone is unique. Everyone come in a different form. Some you know, speak different languages, some different colors. But guess what? If you cut us all, it's the same color blood. Okay, so let's come together and please support the Monique Woolley Foundation. We can't do it without you. It takes a village. And I love you guys, okay? Thank you for being here. Yes.